Hello, everybody, and welcome back to Only Stupid Answers. This is the show where we answer your questions about movies, TV shows, comic fields, and movie fields, and Renfields. That's what we're talking about today. I am your host, DJ Wooldridge. With me, as always, is Roxy Stryer. How you doing, Roxy?
I'm good, DJ. How are you?
I'm good. I'm excited to talk to you about this movie because I haven't been able to talk to people about it, and I'm interested to know your feelings on it. And we'll leave it at that for now. But I need to see where it's at now, because when I left the theater on Rotten Tomatoes, it was at a place that I was like, well, that doesn't seem correct. And I'm curious. Okay. Yeah. Cool. We'll get into it. But that's what we're talking about today. We're talking about Renfield, and I'm very excited to talk about it. But maybe not for the reasons you think. And we're also going to be doing, as always, some news. But before that, a little business up top. Of course, as always, if you want to watch this show live, like Mike Joyce and John Libra and all the other people that are joining us, you can do that over patreon.com/onlystupidanswers. Please and thank you. Give us a 5-star review on iTunes. It is incredibly helpful. Even if you don't listen to the show, I don't know how you heard this if you don't, but if you don't listen to the show, you still give us 5 stars. We really appreciate it. Also, if you listen on Spotify every week, we ask you a question. Last week's question was, what Nintendo game should get an animated movie next? Ray Alvarez says, maybe Legend of Zelda, but I worry that it'll shoot for the same formula. While Mario was fun, it barely had a plot or comedy that worked above child level. Anything but a Toad movie. He was bad. Sorry, Roxy. Sorry.
I thought that Toad was legitimately the best part of the movie by far.
And listen, different strokes for different folks. We're all happy for you.
What do you think that quote means?
What quote means?
Different strokes for different
folks. Different. What it means is, I don't know where it came from, but it just
I get the what
different stuff works for different people. You know, like I think here's what because I think it comes from a generation before us making jokes like that. What you're implying in your dirty mind over there. So I think if I were to guess, and I'm not going to look it up, if I were to guess, it's like swimming. Like, listen, whatever gets you to shore, backstroke, breaststroke, whatever.
I'm sure it's about swimming.
I'm just saying, it's before my wife had me watch The Outsiders for the first time last night. And for those that have not seen that movie or do not remember that movie, there's a scene where kids cut each other's hair with like a switchblade. And it's like, well, I guess this was before scissors were invented. I don't know. I guess we just don't have that technology. Similarly, I think different strokes for different folks was before we understood the modern usage of the word stroke. If you all know what I mean at home. So back to our question. Sailor Gaines 18 says Metroid Prime. William Niles Wilson says Pikmin would be fun. Just a bunch of little grassy dudes following a little alien dude for an hour and a half. I'm down. Evan Freed says if they stick with Illumination, then Kirby would work. But if they're looking wider, then a Legend of Zelda movie from a studio like Laika or Cartoon Saloon would be better. I don't know what Cartoon Saloon is, but I love Laika. A stop motion Legend of Zelda movie would be incredible.
You don't know Cartoon Saloon? Cartoon Saloon is the very famous gaming service with the Cowboys.
No, I don't believe you. That's not, Roxy's not going to be the one that tells me about Cartoon Saloon. That's not where that information is going to come from.
No, it's really famous. It's got games like You're My Cowboy and
Gotcha.
Cowboy Ride and Don't Go Cow Tipping. Mm-hmm. Those are just 3 of my favorites.
And only a few of those games that you just mentioned are adult-oriented games, adult games.
Right.
Yes.
Mostly geared towards children.
Yeah, it is a weird company. Some of their games are very much kid-targeted, but other ones are XXX. Nothing in between.
Yeah, definitely. It's old Miss Donald had a farm. Mm-hmm. They're trying to be original.
Exactly. Shake it up.
Yeah.
Shake it up. So I should ask you, Roxy. I know that because you're such a big gamer,
right?
And you love the Mario movie. Is there another Nintendo-based game that you, in particular, would like to see a movie adaptation?
Which ones are the Nintendo-based games?
So we've got Mario, we've got Metroid, we've got Star Fox, one of my favorites. Would love to see it. Legend of Zelda, Kirby, Earthbound. Yes, I am just going through Smash Brothers characters. F-Zero, that would be wild. It's a racing
Growing up,
movie.
my brother and I played Zelda. I also always loved Kirby because he was cute.
Yeah.
Um,
I do agree. Who said it in here? Evan Freed. If Illumination is making our Nintendo movies, which considering the amount of money the Mario movie made, I would assume both parties would be interested in keeping that going. Kirby, I think, would be a good fit for what Illumination does.
don't you feel like Zelda lends itself to being a show or a movie the most?
100%. I just don't know that Illumination is the studio I want to do a Zelda movie. Like considering, and you and I have different opinions on this, considering the jokes in the Mario movie, it's like, well, maybe you guys don't get to do Zelda. Maybe that's not, so maybe a studio like the studio that did the most recent Puss in Boots movie, whoever they were, I think they would do a pretty good job. Although I don't think the kitty joke humor lends itself to Zelda. I think Zelda, you want to shoot for something a little bit more serious.
Do you or do you not believe that creators can do things that are serious and not serious sometimes?
I do think that having watched the Mario movie makes me think Illumination's range is a bit limited.
Oh my gosh, DJ.
That's me. That's me. Listen,
You should leave it to the Cowboy Studio.
different strokes for different folks. Also, this is super important. This Wednesday, 10 a.m., our first official episode of Mutant Academy. Me and Sal, we're talking about the first X-Men movie. I think, what was that? 2001, 2002, 2000, whatever. The first, I don't want to say the first Bryan Singer X-Men movie. That's what it is, but it is the first live action X-Men movie. There we go. That's better. That's the movie we're going to be talking about. So if you're a fan of Spider-Versity, if you liked our little pilot episode that we did this Wednesday, which is the 19th, April 19th, 10 a.m. We're going to be doing it live on YouTube. You all can be there. That's for everybody. Please show up, join the conversation. It should be a very good time. And if you haven't done your Hellbent Backer Kit survey and you backed us, first of all, thank you for backing us. Second of all, fill out your survey, please, and thank you. Really appreciate that. Cool. We did it. We got through it. And I even got to bag on Mario a little bit more. I felt bad that I wasn't really able. We just were so tight on time last week. I didn't really get to vent all of my feelings.
I'm so glad
Mario.
for you.
Thank you. I rewatched the 93 Mario. And if you asked me to choose
No, stop. You said this last time. You already said it, and it's not the truth.
It is the truth. It is the truth. I just liked weird shit, I guess. Okay, we do have news to talk about, and I'm very excited to talk about this news with you, Rock. Specifically, we're going to be talking about the Captain Marvel trailer on HBO Max. I'm going to save the HBO Max stuff because I really want to know specifically Roxy's thoughts on this. But let's talk about the Marvels trailer first. That dropped this week. This, of course, is the sequel to Captain Marvel, and where she's now teaming up with Monica Rambeau and Kamala Khan's Miss Marvel. And it really does look like the whole plot, for spoilers for Miss Marvel, that ended with a teaser where she kind of like switches places with Captain Marvel. Like, that's the premise of the movie. And their powers are quote unquote entangled and they're switching places. Roxy, what did you think of this trailer?
Yeah, I thought that it was
I wish that was your yes. What did you think? Yes, I did.
No, it was kind of a yeah for me. It wasn't like a F yeah. It wasn't like a uh-oh. It was like a yeah. I say it like that because I don't know if you saw this, DJ, but the majority of the people that I saw talking about this trailer were like ripping it and ripping Miss Marvel. Ripping Captain Marvel.
Yeah.
The movie and the person. And I think that this trailer, while it is serviceable for me, I don't think it did the movie justice. And I can like kind of read between the lines and see what they're doing here. And I think the dynamic between the three of them is going to be very interesting.
Yeah, 100%.
So it didn't make me concerned because we're seeing a little bit of that dynamic. But did I feel like this was the most entertaining, cohesive trailer that they could have put out? No.
Yeah, I think it reminded me a lot of the Ant-Man, the most recent Ant-Man trailer, in that it's like, so just everything's Guardians of the Galaxy now is what we're doing. That which made me a little nervous. I also think there is a discussion to be had that I'm very interested in. Obviously, there's been a lot of pushback on Marvel, MCU's phases 4 and now 5. I don't know that you and I particularly feel that way, but I do wonder if we're now kind of like when you were talking about a character like Carol Danvers has been around for a while, but Carol Danvers, Captain Marvel, doesn't have 60 plus years of history like Tony Stark or Peter Parker. And so I think with some of these characters, we're kind of outside of the safe umbrella of there's a lot of source material to adapt or remix or whatever. And I wonder if maybe that is feeding into some of the MCU's at least perceived struggles. And I'd be interested to unpack that more. But that said, even though I don't think Captain Marvel is the MCU's worst movie, that definitely goes to one of the Thors. It wasn't my favorite, but I think it was fun.
One of the Thors. It's Dark World. Come on.
I actually think the first Thor might be the weakest of them.
I know you think that, but that's not the truth, TJ.
Don't get me wrong. Dark World's bad. Dark World. I'm not trying to defend. I'm not trying to actually, Dark World. Dark World is
He's
bad.
A Dark World defender.
No, I'm not going to Dark World. Of the MCU things, the first two Thors are near the bottom.
I like the first one fine. The second one is hard to get through.
I guess it doesn't matter. I don't need to litigate the Thor movies. Point is, the argument I'm trying to make is I don't hate Captain Marvel the way some people do. Especially not for the reasons some people do. And that said, this does feel more confident than that movie. I really like Nia DaCosta. The most recent movie I know that she did is Candyman, the Candyman reboot, which I really liked. So I think she's a very talented director.
Did you see what was announced from her today?
No.
This is probably going to mean absolutely nothing to 99% of the people who are listening to this or watching this, but I'm obsessed with theater, and one of my favorite plays is Hedda Gabler, and Nia DaCosta is doing a reimagining of Hedda Gabler with Tessa Thompson, which I could not be more fucking excited about.
Cool. I was going to say, I don't know what that is, but those are people that I think are talented, so good.
Yeah, it's a long story short, it's a play about a woman. Like, I've always said, it's my dream role to play. Like, okay. It's a woman who is stuck and trapped in her own mind, kind of.
Gotcha.
And her descent into whatever that looks like. And it is so powerful and good. And I can't believe that they're doing it. And I've been screaming from the rooftops. And then this morning I wake up and Hollywood Reporter is Hedda, it's just called Hedda. And I was like, oh my God, is that what I think it is? Click. Yeah. Anyway, sorry, sidetracked us.
Very cool. I mean, that's great. I think this movie, I am looking forward to this movie. But I am interested to I feel like they're switching places. It's that could either be really great or not that. It could be, there's a lot of cool, and I think you're right that at least the interactions between the three, it'll probably be worth the price of admission just for that. So because I like all these actors, I like all these characters. I do think a little bit more work could be done, and maybe this is the opportunity to do it, to give Captain Marvel more character. I think they struggle with her in the same way a lot of people struggle with Superman, where it's the power, they're more defined by their powers than their personality. And I don't think that needs to be true for either of those characters. Anyway, looking forward to it. It is, hopefully they do a good job easing audiences in, because on paper it looks like all you need to do to understand what's happening in the Marvels is watch Captain Marvel, watch Infinity War, watch Endgame, watch WandaVision, watch Miss Marvel, watch Secret. You know what I mean? It's oh my God. I will have watched those things, but it's a big ask for people.
It's a huge ask, and I do feel very bad for our generation came up at the perfect time that we're watching them all alongside.
Yeah.
Right? In 10 years from now, imagine, okay, I don't know what your parents loved growing up, DJ. Was there a property that they were so excited to show you, a movie that they were stoked to show you at some point?
A few things, but I think because of Picard and everything, I'm thinking recently Next Generation. I watched Star Trek Next Generation with them.
Okay. Yeah. And it was for me, anything like that was a huge ask because it was a
Yeah.
whole show. And it's like, wow, they want me to watch a whole, like my dad wanted me to watch all Cheers, right? And it
Ooh,
was
that's
like, okay,
that's a lot of episodes.
there's a lot of episodes, right? So you feel the same way that I do, where it's like, that's a whole show, whatever. This is like 15 shows. Like if we want, if ever you and I one day have kids, nieces, nephews, whatever, and we're like, oh, I want to show you something I love. Say we love the Marvels movie.
Yeah.
But in order to show you this thing that I love,
Yep.
I actually need you to spend 3 years of your life watching other things. Like it's just such a monumental task.
Well, even what used to be easier asks, like Star Wars used to be 3 movies, and then it was 6 movies, and now it's like 9 movies, a couple TV series, like
and 9 movies. How about Rogue One?
Oh, that's
How about
true.
Solo? How about
you're
like?
Right. And it's not like and like you could say, well, the shows don't. It's like, well, I don't. They're pulling more and more from like Clone Wars and Rebels, so now those are almost required viewing.
Sometimes I don't get things because I don't watch them, and there will be a character all of a sudden who's blue that everybody's screaming about, and I'm like, what? Who the fuck is that?
Yeah. So anyway, we're looking forward to it. We'll see. That's November of this year.
So one thing about it though, DJ, before we move on, because I noticed from Leonard Kim in the chat, he says, it is just the teaser, so maybe the official trailer one ups it. I don't understand the difference between teasers and trailers anymore.
Agreed. Especially now that trailers have teasers in front of them.
All the trailers and teasers are all around 2 minutes.
Yep.
Like, is it when a studio isn't ready to call something officially a trailer, so they call it a teaser?
No idea. I'm with you. I am right there with you. Mike Joyce says, I liked it. I really like Captain Marvel. I'm looking forward to the sequel. Don't know. I don't know.
Is it a Captain Marvel sequel?
Huh?
This is a sequel?
To Captain Marvel, yes.
Huh.
You didn't. This is technically Captain Marvel too.
Yeah, I don't know. It doesn't feel like in the same way that I guess Captain America,
Civil War.
Civil War feels like an Avengers movie.
Yeah.
It feels a little weird that this is a Captain Marvel too.
That is fair. I get what you mean. Okay. I need to unpack this with you, Roxy, because you are the queen of TV.
Mm-hmm.
So this week, HBO Max announced that they are just going to be Max. This was a New York Times article. That's not where I read it because it was pay blocked. And there's a lovely quote that just melted my brain. Dropping HBO from the name is cementing that, quote, we're not just a home for premium programming, says Julie Alexander, director of strategy and research firm Parrot Analytics. We're the home for anything you want to watch. And I think I understand in concept what she's trying to convey. But it's one of those like, do you hear yourself? Do you hear what you're...
We're not just here for good content. We're also here for trash.
Yeah, any content. Don't worry. Anything goes. Like, God. But I don't know if I'm trying to play devil's advocate here because I don't like this. But we've had the conversation of like, does the Gossip Girl reboot belong on HBO, like HBO Max, and the confusion of the distinction of what's HBO and what's Max? Does this feel like the right way to address that?
Okay, so just to be clear, HBO is existing still.
Yes.
And Max is existing.
Yes.
I'm going to go through all my thoughts with you for a second.
Please.
The name Max is awful.
Yes.
Max is a human's name. Do you know people were using Max Greenfield's picture as the cover of this article?
Mm-hmm.
Like from New Girl. Just because the actor's name is Max.
Yes.
Like, I know 80 Maxes.
Mm-hmm.
You picked a word. Like, the reason why Siri works better than Alexa, and I have to whisper both of those in my place, is because Alexa's a real motherfucking name of a lot of people in our generation. Siri is a made-up word.
Yeah.
Max,
it's like there's somebody in your house with you. I like that this is how we have to live now.
There is. Max is like, just conceptually, it feels like they didn't want to come up with another name.
Mm-hmm.
So they just went with the second part. which makes no sense. And Max means nothing to any of us.
Yeah,
Like,
it'd be
you,
like if Disney was like, okay, the Disney brand is too associated with families. We want people to know that it's all ages, so we're going to call it plus. It's like,
right.
what?
What? What is plus? Plus. And like, nobody's going to know what you're talking about when you're just like, it's on, like, it's Max. It's Max.
Yeah.
What the fuck's that mean? Like, it just couldn't disagree with their thought process here. Less don't understand what the thought process was. That being said, I think they should have picked a different name. That being
Yeah.
said, HBO being part of HBO Max helped HBO Max get subscribers for sure, but hurt my vision on so much of their content. As somebody who watched all of the Gossip Girl reboot,
Yeah.
the show was awful. It was really, really bad. It's the first time I can tell you I've watched an HBO show that I thought was awful.
Yeah.
But it's not an HBO show.
Yeah.
So that's like the fact that we've got, I'm going to just date everything for a second, but like Sopranos, 6 Feet Under, Sex in the City,
The
Game of
Wire,
Thrones,
Deadwood.
The Wire,
Yeah.
right. HBO, as we all know, and I don't think people can argue this, has the greatest shows of all time. That's HBO has the greatest shows of all time. So I get why they don't want to muddy the water with HBO Max.
Yeah.
Because they are trying to pump out more content, because in order to be a top tier streaming service to compete with a Netflix, a Hulu, an Apple TV, a Paramount, who are pumping out this motherfucking content, they need to do more. And that lowers their budget. And the whole thing about HBO is that they have these huge budgets.
Yeah.
So I get why they want to kind of separate, but I'm a little confused on, like, I think because of the Warner Discovery merger.
Yeah.
I never know whether to use acquisition, merger, like who bought who, whatever. But because of whatever's happening there, why don't they do what a Paramount is doing, or what like other service, Apple, call it Warner Brothers,
Yeah, or
something.
WB Max or something.
WB Max or something, like, or WBD if it's Discovery. Like,
what about Max Plus?
it's horrible. Like, why not call it? Why not brand it as the Warner Brothers streaming service, and all HBO stuff goes on Warner Brothers Max?
Yeah.
You know, that just, like, you have things that aren't HBO that you could work with, and instead you're calling it Max.
Yes, it seems like a not good decision. I will say, so Leonard Kim says, it's always dumbfounding how business execs can simultaneously be so intelligent and utterly moronic. I don't know that it is simultaneous. And I will say, I am grateful that I've started watching Succession. I'm going to see if I can catch up before the finale, in that I think it gives great insight to how decisions like this get made, because they are utterly divorced from reality as we all know it. It's that these people are so separate from everybody else's day-to-day lives that it's this like incubator where everybody's bouncing off ideas off anybody. Nobody knows, be like, wait, you realize how stupid this is, right?
I was so upset that you're not fully caught up on Succession, because this week was the biggest episode that's ever happened in Succession.
I know, and I don't know what happens, although but I'm trying to stay, and it's like, guys, I'm working on it, all right? I'm trying to get through.
I don't feel bad for you. You've had years.
I know, and it is very good, but you forgive me on paper that I wasn't like, oh, the rich family that hates each other. And you're right, the writing is great, but let's not sleep on the performances, because there's jokes that it's all delivery, that it's just the way it's delivered, that it's like fucking so kills.
I remember a while ago, I don't remember whether it was for when I was doing TV fights or if that didn't line up, some version of that, where we had to talk about who was the best actor on the show. It's hard, man.
They're all so good. I do want to, we're not going to have time to talk about it and what we're into, but I do, just because I am catching up, special shout out to Matthew McFadden, who plays the Shiv's husband. Mm-hmm. At least at this point in the show, they're engaged. Don't spoil it for me. And then Nicholas
Tom, right?
Huh?
Tom.
I think so, yeah. And then Nicholas Braun, who plays
Yeah.
cousin Greg. Those
Yeah.
two are so fucking funny together. It's incredible. And I appreciate the show's dedication, at least at this stage, that nobody's likable. Like
Yeah.
characters that theoretically are maybe like your window character, and everybody is the word. And I think that's a testament to what you were talking about with the writing, is that somehow I'm still invested, even though I'm literally rooting for nobody.
Yes, nobody. But that's a tale as old as time in terms of Seinfeld, Always Sunny,
Yeah.
It works for shows. You know what? Fun fact that I learned the other day
What?
about Nicholas Braun.
What?
He was fraternity brothers with Winston.
Winston. Oh, Winston.
Marshall.
Oh, shit.
Do you know Winston? He's in this space. I feel like you guys must have met.
Oh, yeah. That's crazy.
I was
That's
picking his
crazy.
brain on him. He's like, he's awesome. And I was like,
Oh, good. He's
that's
also
amazing.
tall as shit. He's actually taller than I am, which is rare.
There's been so many articles about him being like the New York Playboy of all Playboys, which is so funny to me that he's like,
because in the show he's such a dipshit.
everybody wants to date him and stuff. I'm like, this is amazing.
Well, good for him. So here's the stuff that's going to be on your app right next to Succession. We've got a Big Bang Theory. Chuck Lorre is developing a new comedy series derived from Big Bang Theory. Cool. Drama series set in the same universe as The Conjuring. That makes sense. A new Game of Thrones spinoff, A Knight of the Seven Kingdoms, The Hedge Knight, which is based off the George R. R. Martin prequel novels, Dunk and Egg.
That's not their animated one, right?
No,
Okay.
I don't think so. Wait, I'm going to save this one because we're going to have to unpack. A series called Survive the Raft, which sounds like a reality show. Animated series based on Gremlins, which that's been in the works forever. A reality competition series this summer called Barbie Dreamhouse Challenge. And here's the big one. Well, let's just get to the big one. We're getting a new Harry Potter show that's basically a readaptation of the books that are quote unquote supposed to be more faithful. And
it's executive produced by none other than J.K. Rowling.
Yeah, let's get her name all over it. Why not?
So, okay. When this was announced, when they announced that they were in development for a Harry Potter series that was going to be 7 seasons, and it was going to be the books, I said out loud on a different show, there's no way JK is attached to this. They're going to find some way to, even though it's her books, she's going to have to make some money, but there's no way she's EPing the show. They would have to be fucking morons.
Yeah.
Insert morons. Like,
wait, is she a producer or is she like the showrunner?
I think she's very, like, all the articles that I read show that she's like involved in the making of the show. I don't know I don't think she's the showrunner, but she's the EP, and it seems like not just a name. Like,
jeez.
Because
she did such a good job with the Fantastic Beasts movies. Why wouldn't you want her?
Also, as we know, the 3 main stars declined to come back. So,
understandably.
Like, what the fuck? Is this a horrible idea? I guess not. Am I not surprised that they're going to do the exact same thing but kind of flesh it out more? Is it probably a smart idea for them financially? Yes. But like it was only a few years ago. I don't know.
It was only a few years ago, and I only read through the first 4 books. And I did a tweet about it, and everybody has since informed me that yes, indeed, the movies did skip a lot. But I would argue that the Harry Potter books aren't necessarily the deepest, most nuanced books ever written. So I don't know. And again, I'm not a diehard, so I literally don't know. I just is there that much more you can mine from Harry Potter other than money? Is there that much more like narrative meat you can mine off those bones by doing a show? And again, fans are telling me yes, there is. So great. It's just a bummer that there's literally no other YA fantasy novels. None have been written since Harry Potter, and we can't adapt any of them. So we're just stuck with Harry Potter forever.
Can I, just to clarify, I don't know if you know the answer to this, DJ. So is this an HBO show that's going on Max, or is this a Max show?
I believe all of this stuff is specifically except there's that one Game of Thrones show. I am led to believe that these are all Max shows.
So, but HBO does still exist and make content?
That is my understanding. Although I saw articles that just in their preamble led up to the fact that both Barry and Succession are ending this season. And that made me, that putting those two together made me very nervous. Like, wait, are we losing? Is this like the lead up to us losing HBO as we know it? Because that would not be good.
But then what is House of the Dragon doing?
Yeah, House of the Dragon's doing great. Last of Us is definitely getting a second season. I don't want to. Yeah, I don't know. I guess for some reason in my brain, people were saying like, "Is Succession ending too soon?" And then this is happening. I'm like, wait, did they know something? Do they know something we don't? Are they like? Because I don't. As you pointed out, HBO has been traditionally very, very, very good, and so I don't want to lose them.
Yeah, I mean, HBO has the best percentage for sure of great shows, right? Like of the shows that they've done, they I'm not going to say that they bat perfectly, but almost.
Yeah.
I mean, what's your least favorite HBO show that you've seen? Is there any HBO show you ever watched that you thought was bad?
Not off the top of my head.
Yeah. Or like even that notably people think is bad?
No, not off the top of my head. Not until you get to Max era.
Right. Like some people don't like Girls, but I love Girls. And
I know mixed feelings on the Sex and the City reboot, but again, that's the Max era, so who knows?
Right.
No, like, I think their pedigree, it's unimpeachable. Well, we're going to talk about it in what we're into. I'm caught up on Yellow Jackets, which is a good show, but it was a reminder that like, the gulf between a good Showtime show and a good HBO show is not insignificant. It's not insignificant, you know?
Yeah.
And it's just because of where the level HBO operates at.
There was a time period in which Showtime and HBO were rivals in terms of like, people would say, you know, when I think it was when Weeds was on Showtime, Dexter was on Showtime.
Yeah.
There's a few Showtime shows that people were watching, like, oh, it's HBO and Showtime are the two, but I mean, it's clearly HBO.
Well, and even then for me, I love FX. There's some FX shows that I love as much as HBO shows, but there are also some FX shows that I don't think are particularly good. You know what I mean? Like it's still not HBO. It's not that HBO consistency. And there's probably a time where like AMC might've been up there. It's really impressive that HBO has been able to hold on as long as they have and be this consistently solid. Good for them. Whoever
they should just fuck it up right now. And
exactly. Let's just shit the bed right at this moment when things are at their most volatile. Good job, everybody. It's like execs can't help themselves. Like just leave it alone. It's working. Just let it be, man.
Yeah. HBO had done something that no other network had managed to do, which is make all hits.
Yeah. Just
and
let it
have such love and trust in your name.
Yeah. Let it be. Let it be. Wait a second. Kayla Marie says
Sex and the City.
Oh, thank you. The Sex and the City reboot is not it.
But that's
again,
an HBO Max thing.
Max era. And not that we haven't had some Max winners. Peacemaker's technically, I think, a Max show. Love Peacemaker.
Sex Lives of College Girls, really good.
Yeah, like it's not that, you know, there's still some of that HBO. Ooh. If you have the question of like with Peacemaker, is this an HBO show, an HBO Max show? See, it's doing good. But again, it's within the context of saying it's an HBO show. Don't fuck it up, Zaslav. All right. We'll see. Yeah, I don't know. Just to finish the thought on the Harry Potter thing, it's one of those that'll probably do well because there's not all of us are, not everybody that's a Harry Potter fan is like on Twitter and even knows the J.K. Rowling of it all or would care.
How do you feel, DJ? Like if we find out that J.K. for some reason is the showrunner, are you going to not watch the show?
Oh, I'm not going to watch. I am very fortunate in that I don't have to cross, like with the Hogwarts game that I heard was very good. I'm not a diehard Harry Potter fan. I don't need to. This is not a moral debate I need to have. I don't need to participate in this. It's not going to. I think there have been plenty of. I'm of the opinion, just in general, I think we're a little bit too IP reliant, but even then, there's been so many fantasy series that have come out since Harry Potter that are probably even better than Harry Potter. that you could do. But they don't care about that. And I understand. I'll be interested to see if this affects the actors and creators that can get on board, like people that'll be like, you know what, I don't want to be associated with this. But I'm also not in a position to cast stones because I really, I watched Tokyo Vice and I thought it was a very good show, and it has Ansel Elgort, who I don't like. So it's tricky. I'm not necessarily going to judge Harry Potter fans for if they line up for this, but I'm not going to line up for it. What about you, Roxy?
This is a not cute comment, but I guess it depends on if I'm getting paid to watch it or not.
That's fair. That's entirely fair. But I'll be interested. I have to imagine the lead up to it being created is going to be very rocky. It has to be, right?
I feel like she holds a lot of cards and they legally can't do much. Like, she did not do what Alan Moore did. She did not, like, she wants to be involved. She did not do what Sylvester Stallone did.
Yeah.
She protected herself from all angles. So yeah, it's gonna be rocky as shit.
Yeah, just because I'm not going to ask you this in the sense that you need to answer it, but I would imagine like you get a casting call for the new Harry Potter show. I imagine there's some internal debate on whether you want to be involved in that or not.
For sure. Obviously, like, yeah.
So,
and like for people who are upset with the actors that take the roles, I just so see that differently. You waited your whole life for a dream. You let somebody take that away from you because they're a shit person. Like, I don't know. It's tough.
Yeah, it's a tricky. I kind of wish we weren't put in this position. Whatever. We will see. But next, we're going to talk about Renfield. I always fuck it up. After these ads. Oh, we are back.
Farmers.
We are back, and we are here to talk about Renfield, the new horror comedy directed by, here we are, Chris McKay, written by Ryan Ridley and Robert Kirkman. Yes, that Robert Kirkman. Renfield, Dracula's henchman and inmate at the lunatic asylum for decades, longs for a life away from the Count, his various demands, and all the bloodshed that comes with them. As of this recording, I just looked it up. Let me look it up again because I have forgotten. On Rotten Tomatoes, I believe it has 60%. It has 63%, 82% audience score. Although it fails to take full advantage of its committed stars and killer premise, Renfield's batty horror comedy blend sinks in just enough to leave an impression. And of course, this is starring Nicolas Cage as Dracula. That's the big selling point. Nicholas Hoult as Renfield, Awkwafina as Rebecca, Ben Schwartz as Tedward Lobo. And if you're like, what type of movie is this? Just know that one of the main characters is named Tedward Lobo, and he drives a car with a decal on the side of a wolf snorting cocaine. I shit you not.
I'm upset right now because based on your tone, I feel like you didn't like this movie.
All right, let's just do it. Let's get into it. Spoiler-free thoughts. Let's go. So I have mixed feelings on this in that Nicolas Cage is fucking fantastic. He elevates everything. He's so fucking good. I think he's fucking great, and he's perfect here. Wish he was in more of the movie. There's visual elements, like specific, like nods, reshot elements from like the classic, like Bela Lugosi Dracula. Like there's the lair, Dracula's lair. The set design's really fucking cool. There's cool visual stuff. I love that they did what I wish Megan did, which was really go for the gore. They're like, that's a part of. You
didn't think they really went for the gore?
In Megan. In this, they did that, and I'm glad this movie did that. I wish Megan had all. I wish Megan had been more like this movie. They like went like specifically. There's some specific fatality shit, like Mortal Kombat fatality shit that happens in this movie that is hilarious just for its audacity, and I appreciate that. Nicholas Hoult is not, in my opinion, given a lot to do here, but he is great. He's just really talented, so fine. All that I liked all that. I genuinely liked all that. On the other hand, this might be the worst movie I've ever seen. I don't know. Like, it's really stupid in a way that I felt, because our audience really seemed to like it and like laugh at all the shit and so there might be a degree that maybe I'm not in on the joke. Like maybe they were intentionally trying to do like every bad movie thing, like a voiceover that excruciatingly drags out every plot point or theme until like people with a grievous head injury could understand what is happening in this movie. They just really feel the need to drive it all home. The just so many. One of my least favorite things in a movie is where like a character's faced away from another character and they're like, hey, by the way, here's some exposition that definitely wasn't 80 yards later, and I just need to say this to explain something. We cut around. Half the movie's that shit. It's just bad to the degree that I don't know if it's intentionally like just really like amateur bad shit. And so I say all that to say I have mixed feelings. What about you, Roxy?
No, I still don't have mixed feelings. I think that this movie delivered on exactly what the trailer promised it would deliver on. And if you like the trailer, then you're going to like the movie. And if you did not like the trailer or thought like, maybe I won't like this, then you probably won't.
Yeah.
Like it was super gory. I completely disagree that they didn't give Nicholas Hoult a lot to do. I think they gave him so much to do. I love Nicholas Hoult. I've been harping on The Great for a long time now, trying to get people to watch it. Yeah. I think he's got such excellent timing. I thought Awkwafina was amazing in this. I know a lot of people did not like her in this, and a lot of people seem to be on an anti-Awkwafina kick because they said that she plays the same character in this that she does in everything, which I disagree. So I loved our big three, Nicolas Cage, Nicholas Hoult, and Awkwafina. I think that the movie was super silly and funny and wacky and exactly what it promised to be in a great way. Like their advertising really sold exactly what this was. Was it the greatest movie I've ever seen in my life? No. Do I think it's a really fun movie that is a horror comedy that I would rewatch in the background during the spooky season, whatever? Definitely.
That's a ringing endorsement for a movie. Is this a movie I would have on when I'm doing other things? Of course it is.
No, I'm saying I would rewatch it. I would I loved the movie, DJ. Like this is definitely a ringing endorsement for me. I loved it. I think it's great.
Well, and listen, a lot of the people and a lot of laughs in the audience.
The audience loved it. It felt like
I had a guest with me that had a blast. I think Roxy's assessment that the trailer is the movie. So if you're like me and you saw the trailer, I'm like, oof, this looks rough.
Your friend liked it more than you did.
Oh yeah. he was
I would imagine.
Yeah, he was like, oh, it was so much fun. I'm like, yeah, man. Yeah. I kind of kept my feelings to myself. I was like, oh, okay, yeah. Yeah, I didn't like, I was trying to think of other like Nicolas Cage movies, and I liked in Unbearable Weight of Massive Talent, I liked Nicolas Cage in that, but I thought the movie was fine. It was very like, middle of the road.
What? I love that
movie makes this movie makes that movie look like a fucking masterpiece.
Oh my God, DJ, you're so salty.
I think it does it. It feels like a bunch of people in the room and they had different visions for what the movie, like, is this a horror movie about the relationship between Dracula and Renfield? Yes, but also we want it to be a crime comedy, buddy cop, action, horror, and it's like pick a lane, pick a thing, pick a, because you're not really like, I specifically, I think what would have been more effective is, I think the core premise of the relationship between Renfield and Nicolas Cage and Nicholas Hoult is solid, and I think we have questions. Clementine asked, how much is Nick Cage actually in it? I got the sense from the trailers that there are only a handful of scenes with him in it. I think that's a problem with the movie. Nicolas Cage is great and he's not in it enough, and him and Nicholas Hoult don't have enough time to play off each other. The movie really relies on the voiceover to be like, this is our relationship, and this is why I have problems with him. It's like, or you could have scenes with them together and we see that.
I would say he's definitely in more than 5 minutes of it. He's in a good chunk of it.
He's in like 15 minutes of it.
You're aggro.
Where would you rate this? And again, we've felt the need to mention, and I still feel the need to mention, Rotten Tomatoes is an aggregate. It's not necessarily like, it's not like everybody all the reviewers gave it a 60% or whatever, right. And just same with Mario. It's not like they gave them all 55%, whatever. So it's not perfect. But so if you were to give it like a percentage, to reiterate, critics are 63%, audience is 82%. Where are you falling? What percentage are you falling in?
I would say it's an 80.
An 80. All right. There you go. That's solid.
Yeah, I think
That's
it's a
solid.
solid B minus.
And
Super
listen,
solid.
I think there's moments, specifically ones with Nicolas Cage in them, that are 80.
Dare I ask what you would give it?
Again, I don't know, because it's not like there were parts I did like. Like I liked. There's a whole action sequence at a motel that's so insane that I really liked it. And there's jokes I like. Like I think Ben Schwartz is really fucking funny for the most part in the movie. Like he gets some really good one-liners
He's
in
an
there.
excellent actor.
It's
He's
just such
really good.
It's just such a mess of a movie that it's like I don't even know. I liked it more. If anybody wants to follow me on Letterboxd, I've been keeping track of my movies that I see this year. I've been trying other social media stuff now that Twitter is doing whatever the fuck Twitter's doing. And I think I put it between, I put it above Megan and Quantumania, but below Mario and Shazam is where I landed.
You put this below Mario?
Yes.
But you hated Mario.
I did not think Mario was very good. But again, I can't stress enough, this might be the worst movie I've ever seen. Like on just a movie alone, Nicolas Cage notwithstanding, there's just God. It's like really like
DJ.
This is a real disaster of a movie.
No, it's so not.
But again, it might intentionally. They might, because I really do get the sense that they were trying to go for like, what are the dumb things B horror movies like that you would rent on VHS in 1994 do? Let's do those things, and a lot of the bad shit might be intentional, and I just didn't find it funny. But I really got the sense, like, there literally a character says the line, "I ran the pen through Interpol," and it's like, that's not. What are you even saying right now? And it doesn't even make sense within the context of the scene. The person's blood is not even the person. The blood that's on the pen is not even the person you're looking for. It doesn't make any sense.
Let me ask you this: would you rather watch this movie 3 times on repeat, or finish this season of The Flash?
I would rather finish the season of The Flash, but that's not entirely fair because at least The Flash, we have history. Okay. It might be a toxic relationship at this point, but we have history. Okay.
It is so toxic. Oh my God. When I texted you this week and said, was there no Flash? And you were like, yeah, we're on break. It was like, I felt from the heavens.
Same. I was like, yeah, we need a break. And then the first episode we get back is Arrow, is where he teams up with Green Arrow. And it's like, guys, so that's when after the fight, your ex has brought you flowers. Exactly. It's like, guys, please don't fuck this up. Please, if you fucked up every other episode this season, please don't fuck this one up. Please, for the love of God, this is the last time. Bring me my flowers and chocolate, please. I deserve them. This is the last time we get to see these two characters hang out. Please don't fuck this up for me. They probably will. I need to lower my expectations. Let's answer some of these questions. Mike Joyce, Nick Cage as Dracula is something I didn't know I wanted until this movie was announced. What weird role would you want to see him take on next? I mean, like, of all of the roles? I'm trying to think of, because it's hard to, within this context, it's hard not to think of like Frankenstein's monster, the Invisible Man. Just like give them all, do all of them. What's a weird role? Here's one. If we're going iconic literature characters, Dracula is obviously top of the list. Who's right up there with him? Sherlock Holmes. Gimme. Nicolas Cage is Sherlock Holmes. Cage is Sherlock Holmes? Of course I do, Roxy. Don't give me that look. Of course I do. DJ, put him in a Marvel, Star Wars, Star Trek, or DC movie. Okay. Well, listen, I have been a proponent for a while now. A lot of people give me pushback on this. When I was a kid in the 90s, the Ghost Rider was a character named Danny Ketch, and the original Ghost Rider, Johnny Blaze, didn't do the whole skull flaming thing. He was like the mentor figure to this new Ghost Rider. MCU, have Danny Ketch be your Ghost Rider, bring back Nicolas Cage as Johnny Blaze, as the new Ghost Rider's mentor. That's what I want. I think that would be great. Okay. Would you rather see him as a villain or a hero in general? I'm kind of tempted just because villains get to have more fun. Like, he has a fucking blast here. Like, if you cast him as Lex Luthor, I feel like, yes. But like villain, I think he would have more fun. It'd be more fun to see him as a villain. Also, people know this. I'm a big proponent of the second Ghost Rider movie, directed by the same people that directed Crank. I know the first Ghost Rider sucks. Second Ghost Rider, Spirit of Vengeance, it's a blast. I recommend it.
I want to see it. Like, I think I'm having such a hard time with the question because what I want to see him do is more stuff like Mandy. Sorry, like Pig. Like, more
Yeah.
just like.
Well, either of those. For me, both Mandy, Pig, yes.
Like, indie artist movies, like, that are just fucking bizarre. That's where he shines. He's so good.
Yeah. Mom and Dad, he's fucking fantastic in that.
What's Mom and Dad?
Good. Mom and Dad is also, it's directed by one of the duo that directed Crank split up. And basically...
The director what?
The directors that directed the Crank movies, starring Jason Statham. For people that know, those are like insane action movies. They also did the second Ghost Rider. That duo split up. One of them directed Mom and Dad, which is basically something happens in the brains of all the parents in the world that they I think they describe it in the movie as the instinct parents have to protect their children. It suddenly reverses and they're trying to kill their children, and it's fucking great. It's fantastic. Cool. And of course Nicolas Cage is fantastic in it. And
is he dad?
Yeah, he's one of the dads.
Mom?
It's the mom is why am I blanking? It's another fantastic actress whose name,
because I put you on the spot, and nobody likes to be put on the spot. Mike Joy says Nick Cage, Dark Side.
Selma Blair.
Oh, I love Selma Blair.
Dude, I highly recommend Mom and Dad. It's so much fucking fun. Yeah, Mike Joy says Nick Cage, Dark Side. Yes to all of it. I think he's great. One of my favorite Nicolas Cage movies is also one of my favorite movies of all time, Raising Arizona. The only time he worked with the Coen brothers. Fucking love that movie. And I will say, I do think this movie's worth checking out. Again, Nicolas Cage's Dracula, real good. And there's some great visual choices. And I like Nicholas Hoult. Maybe not here, but I do like him. I think he's a talented boy. Leonard Kim. Why exactly did the Dark Universe die so quickly and abruptly? Did the Mummy movie bomb that badly at the box office? I remember liking the Mummy movie. It did bomb very badly. It did very badly at the box office. The Tom Cruise Mummy, not the...
How badly?
I don't remember, but I remember being... I don't even think it did enough that it scuttled a whole shared universe like on its own. And that's not entirely fair because that Dracula Untold movie was also supposed to be a dark universe joint, and then that didn't do well. Do you think, Roxy, that this, because clearly I think this is in some ways part of the same vein of we're trying to combine our horror with our comedy with our action. Do you think this, from what I understand, this does kind of come out of the remains of the idea of the dark universe. Is there any chance that this brings back conversations of a shared universal monster universe?
They just like haven't been able to figure it out.
Yeah.
So I don't really know what the holdup on that is. It seems like it shouldn't be as complicated as it's been. It's kind of like with Fantastic Four. It's obviously different, but it's like, why can't we figure out Fantastic Four? It just feels like it would be not that difficult to fucking do.
Yeah.
That's kind of how I feel about this, where it's like a shared monster universe just should kind of be not turnkey, but like, not that difficult. We're not attempting to do something crazy here.
Well, and I do think this is obviously not the case because tonally they couldn't be more different. I kind of thought this Renfield conversation was springing out of the success of The Invisible Man, which is a fantastic movie, the most recent good. Invisible Man. And that's
tonally very similar to Renfield.
Not at all. Not at all.
I would love to see an Elizabeth Moss, Nicolas Cage crossover where
actually, I mean, they're both terrific. So yeah, they would do a good job together. Wow, that would be wild if you really tried to connect these two. I do think if this movie is successful, if it works, if people respond to it, I could see it doing well. I think the issue with one of my issues with this movie and my issues with the dark universe in general is it feels like they're trying to make it like a superhero thing, and it's like, well, no, just make it horror. Just make it. Just let them be. That's part of what I think made Invisible Man really good. Is you did it for a little less money and you let it be a fucking horror movie. And I don't know that Invisible Man can cross over with any Dracula. It's a relatively grounded movie for what it is. But let just yeah, it's almost like they're embarrassed to make horror movies, which is weird because the only genre that's been as stable, it hasn't made as much money as superhero movies have, but it's been stable in a field dominated by IPs is horror movies. You make them for a little, like the Conjuring movies do really well. You make them for a little less money, they make more money. Like,
I definitely think in that Invisible Man, though, there is room for a Dracula, not this Dracula,
yeah,
but Dracula. It's grounded, but it's also like sci-fi.
yeah, exactly, yeah. And I am inclined to agree with you, and I'm down to see it because those monsters. Universal has a history back in. Abbott and Costello crossed over with Frankenstein and Dracula and the Wolfman. Like, it's not like it's unheard of. So I think there's a way to do it, but I think they need to get out of thinking about this as like superhero properties and embrace what they are, which is monster movies, and figure out how to connect them that way. Because in The Mummy, they tried to make Tom Cruise into like a superhero, and this Renfield's kind of like a superhero. And it's like, I don't know that that's the right track. But again, if the movie does well, people respond to it. Again, everybody in the theater was laughing, having a good time. So, what the fuck do I know? Jake Hefner, going off the trailers, it seems like Renfield will make Dracula goofy and over the top instead of scary. Is that accurate? Do you think Dracula as a character works better with some levity added, or should it only be scary horror figure? Let's focus on that part, Roxy. Do you think Dracula as a character works better with some levity? Or should he only be like a more serious, scary horror figure?
I think it's such an unfair question because in comedies he works better with levity.
Yeah.
But like, there's multiple versions to every character that we know and love. Like, think about like the Lego Batman movie, or anything. Where like, would I 9 out of 10 times say that Batman works better with, like, as a dark, tortured soul? Yeah, but then there's all different versions where I'm like, oh, that works perfectly, and like, what a fun play on Batman and society and whatever. So like, do I think Dracula inherently on the page is written more as this like brooding, fucked up? Yeah, of course, based on his backstory. But for me, did it work super well in this to have that levity? Yeah.
I agree. And I think part of the thing with a character like Dracula and vampires in general that have made them so successful is that it can kind of be anything. Like, you can kind of do all sorts. That's why I think it's been such an enduring. This has been an enduring story, and vampires in general have been an enduring concept. Is you can kind of do anything with them. And I will say, like you, Roxy, like on paper, you're like, yeah, dark, brooding, scary. Yeah. That said, I think Nick Cage's Dracula is fantastic in this, and also the most recent. The Dracula Netflix series starring Claes Bang as Dracula. He had like this goes back to Bela Lugosi. It's not really in the original novel. In the original novel, Dracula's kind of gross from what I understand, more like Nosferatu shit. But ever since Bela Lugosi, like, there's a sexiness, there's an allure, and I think like that Dracula Netflix show really kind of captured the magnetism, and that he's kind of fun, and he's kind of fun to be around. And it's like, yeah, I think there's something there. And I like my sassy villains. I like villains that like being villains and are having a blast being villains. That's fun. So I think there's a world, 100% to Roxy's point. I think that's right. Depending on what you're doing, you can make Dracula work in any of those. But if you're like benchmark Dracula, I think like it should be scary, but also a little bit sexy, and also a little bit funny, and also like, he's able to lure people into his grip. Smart, like all those things are there. But while Dracula is funny, and this is more of a scary, like Dracula doesn't seem like a fun guy to be around. He's very food focused. He's very food motivated.
Food focused.
Yeah.
He's hangry.
Yeah, he's hangry most of this movie.
He's super angry.
Not
so fun to be around because he's so hangry.
So hangry. Just feed him. Just give him that busload of nuns or whatever, cheerleaders or whatever it was. All right. Those are our thoughts on Renfield. Take of them of what you will. I think Roxy made a very good point. The trailer, it is what it is in the trailer. So if you dug the trailer, go check it out. And if you're like, maybe not. Roxy, where can the kids check out what you're working on?
They can find me everywhere at Roxy Stryer.
You can find me at DJ Talks Trash. You can follow the show everywhere that matters at Only Stupid Answers, but on Twitter.
Yank out the that was from stupid.
And we will see you all next time.